So it's a pretty popular sentiment these days to say and to believe that everything is connected, and I agree with that. But people take it one step further and say that everything is the same, and I don't know if that follows. I think no, everything is very different because everything is connected. Because that connection is what allows that diversity to flourish. Um, I remember when I went to Israel, we went to the Holocaust Museum, and the night before we had gone out to a club, and I'd gotten pretty drunk, and was throwing up all night, and I woke up with a terrible hangover, and I had to go to this museum at about 8 in the morning. So, you can imagine I was pretty miserable the whole time, but it was fitting because it's a miserable place. I mean, it was beautifully designed, and it was an experience for sure. But you're not supposed to be exactly happy when you're there, and I certainly wasn't. My whole body was aching, and I was nauseous, and I had to go through this crowded exhibit. And the way it's set up, you enter the building at one end, and you have to zigzag through all of these exhibits in order to get to the end, and you can't just turn around and go back because there's these crowds of people there. So here I am, feeling like I'm about to puke all over everybody, and I'm stuck in this crowd of people pushing their way through these photographs of children in concentration camps, and huge piles of their shoes and clothing and suitcases and personal effects, photographs, all this death and sadness, genocide, I'm trying to work my way through it to get to the bathrooms on the other end of the building, and at the same time, I'm trying to appreciate all this that's going on, and it was so overwhelming. And finally, I got to the end of the exhibit, and just went and sat down on the ground and tried to collect my thoughts and my feelings and prevent myself from puking. The bathroom was right around the corner, but I couldn't even make it there at this point. And so I've got all these thoughts rushing through my head about the Holocaust, and I finally got up and went to puke in the bathroom a couple times. And then my group that I was with was finished with the exhibit, and they met me at the end, and we went to a children's memorial. And after I threw up, I felt a little bit better. So we're approaching this exhibit, and the entrance takes you sort of underground, and you go into this dark room. And we were entering the exhibit, and there was this group of girls in front of me. I'd gone with a group from my university, and these girls in my group in front of me were sort of goofing around and laughing about something insignificant, and other members of the public, Israelis probably, that were there visiting, said, please, please, respect, respect. And they didn't speak English very well, but they just said, please, like pleading with these girls to just shut the fuck up and acknowledge where you are and the historical significance of it. And, I was kind of embarrassed being with them because the disregard of the location of, just don't goof off right here in the entrance to this children's memorial. So anyways, we go into the memorial, and what it is a few candles set up with mirrors in this pitch black room so that you see a million candles reflected off into every direction. And it reminded me of Indra's web, which is, it's the idea of how everything in the world is a reflection of everything else, and that no individual thing is any more substantial than any other individual thing, and that they only gain their meaning through that reflection. But there was, I forget exactly what the music was that was playing, it was children's voices, I think, just softly chanting or singing. And I started to get really emotionally overwhelmed at this point, just to think of how many children were sacrificed because of Hitler's Hitler's solution, final solution. And obviously, Hitler was evil, but he had a vision for a perfect world where everybody got along and everybody spoke the same language and was genetically perfect. And I mean, it was a utopian vision. It really was. But it just seemed like to bring about that kind of unity, so much death and violence and terror was necessary. And, it just overwhelmed me to realize how many children suffered and died, a couple million, I think. And so I got through the exhibit. It was a pretty short walkthrough, you just walk through the hallways of these candles reflected all around you. And, each candle is supposed to represent a life that was lost. And so we got on the other side, and I just started bawling. I mean, I couldn't stop myself from crying. Not because I was sad, but because of what people, and in this case children, have to go through. Because of what other people think is right, and the way we manipulate each other, and the way history progresses, and the amount of suffering that is involved in it. And I got out on the other side, and it's in the grass, and I saw the grass for the first time in my life. I saw the grass, and I don't know how else to explain it other than I recognized each individual blade of grass is unique and so different from every other blade of grass. And the fact that it's there and it's growing and nobody notices it anymore, nobody pays it any attention. We just walk on it. And I looked up at the sky and I saw the clouds and I saw the trees and I saw the faces of all the other people. And this is one of the only times in my life that I would ever have what I would call a mystical experience without the help of some kind of a substance. And I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. So talk about synchronicity. The guy that I was roommates with when I went to Israel, who the night that I got really wasted at the club actually carried me back to the hotel room and took care of me, and made sure I wasn't choking on my own vomit and stuff. I just saw him sitting in traffic. He asked to pull in front of me, and we recognized each other. And I haven't seen him for years. And for that to happen right after I finished recording that video is beyond me. I don't even. That's crazy.